If you like my videos, please leave me a comment and a like and subscribe to my channel and all that good stuff. Also, I've been thinking about doing a tattoo tour video, so let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. I do have about 26 maybe tattoos, something like that, so it might end up being a long video, but anyway. So this is the murder of Rika Tojo. Also, this is just an article that I'm reading because usually I do a lot of research on my videos. I try to find and read basically every article that I possibly can about the case, and I end up reading so many articles, just trying to find every little detail that one article might have left out, but another one didn't. And sometimes it's just real tiring. So, since I wanted to get a video out, since I haven't released one in quite a while, I figured it would be easier to just find an article and read it. So, call me lazy if you want, but moving into your first apartment is so exciting. Leaving the nest, going out on your own, being independent, and learning to create your own life is a part of growing up. Rika Tojo, a 23-year-old woman, decided to do just that. With a good job, some savings, and the dream of living in one of the most vibrant cities in the world, Tokyo, Rika was looking forward to living the city life. Of course, she was very cautious, and despite Tokyo being one of the safest places in Asia to live, she went the extra mile by deciding to live with her sister in a condo near Tokyo Station. They chose this area because it was clean, spacious, and the building was new, and had surveillance cameras and a secured lobby that could only be entered by residents. Japan's housing and apartments, especially older buildings, don't have such security, and many don't even have elevators. But this building complex was promoting itself as a secure and protected residence, which we'll find out isn't the case. Also, just as a side note, and this really isn't all that related to the case, but it's kind of interesting, in Japan they call tall apartment buildings manshan, like mansion. I don't really know why. But yeah. Unfortunately, despite this claim, Rika was taken. Cameras caught her entering the building but never exiting. When her sister came home, the door was open. There were bloodstains in the apartment, but her sister was gone. She called the police and the search began. The media went wild during the investigation as CCTV cameras had caught her coming in but not leaving. The disappearance gained attention and was known to Japanese people as the girl who was spirited away. Much like the famous Japanese anime, the young girl disappeared from the world without a trace. My eyelashes are stuck together. Later, police would discover that she had been kidnapped, assaulted, murdered, dismembered, and disposed of by someone in her building. Who was this person? How did he take her and why did he kill her? Why was Rika the target, and how did the killer dispose of her body? Background of Rika on Japanese sites show that Rika Tojo was born in Nagano in 1985. After graduating from high school, she decided to study English at a women's college near Tokyo. Interested in languages, she then went to Canada to further her language studies. As a serious and hardworking student, she was able to make international friends, get language experience, and learn English, making her quite fluent. Rika dreamed of working in the fashion industry and started working at an event planning company after returning to Japan. Loving her job, she was living her dream and was even in charge of designing, planning, and launching a product for a perfume company. It was with her successful and thriving career that she was able to move to the waterside condo with her sister in March of 2008, where the incident took place. Unfortunately, her career would come to a halt as someone in the building decided to target her and would ambush her unexpectedly. According to Japanese Wikipedia, Takanori Hoshimiya, had a traumatic experience from childhood that permanently scarred him both physically and mentally. Born in 1975 in Okayama Prefecture, Takanori Hoshimiya was the oldest of 4 children. When he was just short of 2 years old, he accidentally fell into a tub of scalding water and was badly burned on both of his legs. Sankei News reported that in court, Takanori's lawyers stressed that he had a normal and ordinary childhood, had a successful career, a high-paying job, and had never had trouble with the law. But Takanori he would hear her keys jangle as she opened her door every day. They had never met or talked and only briefly ridden in the elevator together, but Takanori decided she would be the one who would become his sex slave. So they included a transcript from the questioning at his trial, where he explains how he chose Rika to become his sex slave. Prosecutor: what were you hoping to do by taking Rika? Defendant: I thought she could be like a lover. I didn't think about it deeper than that. Prosecutor: did you think you would be caught by the police? Defendant: I didn't think about it. I was trying to ensure it wouldn't happen. Prosecutor: what kind of woman was good for your plan? Defendant: anyone that was not extremely old or physically fat. Prosecutor: so anyone other than that was okay? Defendant: yes. Prosecutor: why did you decide on the woman in room 916? Defendant: it was the closest to my room and she lived alone, so I thought it wouldn't be difficult to bring her to my room. Prosecutor: is there any other reason? Defendant: no. Prosecutor: when did you aim for the woman in room 916? Defendant: 1 week before the crime. Prosecutor: how did you decide on going through with the crime? Defendant: when I was masturbating, I began to think about the frustration of my work, so decided then. I thought that a normal office lady would be able to become mine in 3 days, from Friday night to Saturday and Sunday. Prosecutor: what did you try to do to make her yours? Defendant: have sex. On April 18th, 2008, a week after he first decided to target Rika, he waited for her to come home. Her and her sister were living in Unit 916, and Takanori lived 2 doors down in 918. Takanori didn't know Rika was living with her sister, and was waiting until she came home. Around 9:30, Rika sent her sister a message telling her she had arrived home. Just as she was opening her door, Takanori surprised her and forced himself into her apartment. Once in her apartment, when Rika screamed, Takanori hit her in the forehead with a kitchen knife. He then used a towel to tie up her hands, used a pair of her pants to cover her face and blindfold her, and dragged her back to his apartment. Where did he get the pants from? Around an hour after the incident, Rika's sister came home to find the door unlocked and the lights on. She saw bloodstains on the wall near the door and on the floor. She also found one of Rika's earrings lying by the entrance. Her purse was also missing. The sister quickly called the police, and the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department immediately began an investigation. Using video footage, they found that Rika had entered the building, but there was no evidence of her leaving it. That led the police to believe that she was probably being held in one of the other units in the building. Over the next few days, they had police at the entrance and exits of the building talking to everyone who came in and out. They also started the search of all 150 units that were in the building. Unfortunately, the police were not able to locate Rika during that search. Takanori had taken steps to ensure he had covered his tracks. After grabbing Rika and bringing her into his room, he laid her on the bed. He went back out into the lobby with a towel to wipe up any blood or traces of Rika, then went back to his room and attempted to sexually assault her. But he was unable to get an erection and gave up. He also learned quickly that the police had already found out about her disappearance through the sister. They were outside her door, and when Takanori went out, they asked him about her disappearance. He claimed he didn't know anything and went back into his room. Panicked that he would be caught, he quickly took the kitchen knife he had and stabbed it deep into Rika's throat. He told the court that it was taking too long for her to die, and after 5 minutes of her still suffering, Takanori pulled out the knife, and Rika died of blood loss. Once she was dead, Takanori wanted to get rid of the evidence before the police would come search his place. He used 2 kitchen knives and a saw to meticulously cut her body into small pieces. This is going to get a bit gross, so sorry in advance. A forensic expert who described the details in court said, quote, parts of the flesh that was found in the search were from the middle of the navel. All the pieces were chopped to about 5 centimeters square. Takanori dismembered Rika and hid bone pieces in the refrigerator, under the bed, and in cardboard boxes. To avoid odor, he peeled off all the skin and flesh from the bones and cut them up and flushed them down the toilet. He sawed her bones into smaller pieces and put them in the fridge. All the organs were also removed, finely chopped up, and flushed in the toilet as well. Rika's hair was cut, her scalp peeled off along with her eyes, nose, and lips, and they were also flushed in the toilet. carefully search them. Once they had cleared his apartment, he disposed of the leftover remains in the toilet and in garbage bags and dumped them in the garbage area of a neighboring building. A couple days after Rika's disappearance, while he was still in the process of disposing of her body, he was approached by media that were waiting outside the building looking to interview residents. He had left his apartment to buy new shoes, since he suspected the police might be checking footprints in the hall and in her apartment and match them to his. While exiting his building, reporters approached. During the interview, he told the reporter he didn't hear anything or see anything out of the ordinary. He told them he didn't hear a scream and that he had only seen Rika casually in the elevator once, but didn't know much about her. He also mentioned to the media that the police had checked his apartment, bathroom, and kitchen, and despite not finding anything, he laughingly claimed they might still be suspicious of him. Whether that was his own idea or the police had told him he remained a person of interest is unknown. Police were able to find one fingerprint in Rika's apartment and asked all the residents to have their fingerprints taken. But expecting that, Takanori had used some kind of chemical to burn the patterns on his fingertips, making fingerprints impossible to match. Finding this odd, obviously, the police retook his fingerprints a month later when the skin had regenerated and found they matched the one in the apartment. Takanori was arrested on May 25th under suspicion of trespassing. Once in custody, investigators re-examined Takanori's room and found bloodstains in there and in the bathtub that matched Rika. They also checked the sewer pipes and found many bone fragments and pieces of flesh remaining that were a DNA match to Rika. In his apartment, they found her wallet and driver's license. In June 2008, Takanori was rearrested for theft, trespassing, destruction of a corpse, abandonment of a corpse, and murder. While under arrest and through interrogations, he confessed to the murder and provided the police with details of his crime. The first trial was held in January 2009 at the Tokyo District Court, with the prosecution demanding the death penalty. They argued that Takanori, quote, planned the perfect crime to eliminate all existence of the victim. He attacked Rika to make her a sex slave. The murder was not an accident and inevitable, as he abducted her. She was treated as a tool to satisfy his sexual desire, then was dismantled and disposed of like an object. In court, images of 49 of the bone pieces, as well as 172 pieces of flesh that were recovered, were shown by the prosecution as examples of the gruesomeness of Rika's murder. Despite Takanori himself asking for the death penalty, his defense team asked for life imprisonment so he could spend the rest of his life praying for the victim's soul. They also told the court that he was apologetic, remorseful, didn't have any prior criminal record, and had suffered trauma from his childhood. The court sentenced Takanori to life in prison with Judge Hiraide explaining, quote, the crime of stabbing someone who can't resist is ruthless, but it can't be said that it is extremely cruel. I don't know about that. The disposing method and abandonment should be given consideration, but the defendant was sought for the death penalty for murder. So I can't agree with that. I guess that means that since Takanori wanted to be killed, the judge wasn't going to give him what he wanted. The prosecution appealed once again in September 2009, asking for the death penalty, stating that Rika's mother and sister felt she had been stolen away from them with no fault of her own and deserved justice. However, the death penalty in Japan is usually given when there's more than one victim, or the murder is extremely malicious and cruel. The judge at the Tokyo High Court agreed with the first judge and upheld the decision of life in prison. Judge Yamazaki said, quote, murder is a serious crime, and what he did was cruel and inhumane. On the other hand, there is no criminal record, and he regrets his crimes and shows remorse. There's a possibility of correction, so the death penalty should be avoided. Takanori's life term was finalized, and he currently is living in prison in Chiba, Japan. Despite high security, surveillance cameras, automatic locks, and living in a nice and well-to-do area, Rika was still targeted, attacked, and murdered. Had the placement of the cameras been different, there might not have been a blind spot where Takanori was able to take advantage. Rika might have been caught on camera, and the police might have been able to save her before she was killed. Had the police done a proper check of the apartments as well, Takanori might have been caught earlier, but unfortunately he selfishly took these situations, proper support channels and mental health checks also need to be in place to help people with trauma get help before it's too late.